Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel Facts and Fictions. Today we are going to talk about Crested Gecko. The Crested Gecko or eyelash gecko is a species of gecko native to southern New Caledonia. The Crested Gecko or eyelash gecko is a species of gecko native to southern New Caledonia. The crested gecko was described by a French zoologist named Alphonse Geyconot in 1866. This species was thought extinct until it was rediscovered in 1994 during an expedition led by Robert Sheep. Along with several other New Caledonian gecko species, it is being considered for protected status by the Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna. Its scientific classification is it belongs to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Reptilia, order Squamata, family Diplodoctylidae, genus Corylophus, and species is C. ciliatus. The species was first described in 1866 as Corylophus ciliatus by the French zoologist Alphonse Geyconot in an article entitled Notes on a New Species of Lizard in the Gecko Family. It was later renamed Reproduction ciliatus. Recent phylogenetic analysis indicates that Rhacodactylus and Rhacoceracorum are not closely related to the other giant geckos. So these two species have been moved back to the genus Corylophus. The specific name ciliatus is Latin from cilia, which means fringe or eyelashes, and refers to the crest of skin over the animal's eye that resembles eyelashes. Now we talk about distribution and habitat. The crested gecko is endemic to South Province, New Caledonia. There are three disjunct populations, one found on the islet of pines and surrounding islets. And there are two populations found on the main island of Grand Terrain. One population is around the Blue River, which is a protected provincial park, and other is further north, just south of Mount Zumak. They are seen around many tropical climates. If we talk about its physical description, crested geckos typically range from 6 to 10 inches in length, including 4 to 6 inches length of its tail. Among the most distinctive features of these geckos are the hair-like projections found above the eyes, which greatly resemble eyelashes. The projections continue as two rows of spines that run from the eyes to the sides of their wedge-shaped head and continue to the base of their tail. Crested geckos do not have eyelids. Instead, a transparent scale or spectacle keeps each eye moist, and the geckos use their tongues to clear away debris. These geckos possess a semi-prehensile tail which they use to assist in climbing. The tail can be dropped to distract predators. Crested geckos do not regenerate their tail once lost. Most adults in the wild lack tails. The toes and the tip of the semi-prehensile tail are covered in small hairs called setae. Each seta is divided into hundreds of smaller hairs called spatulae. It is believed these structures exploit the weak van der Waals force to help the gecko climb on most solid surfaces. most easily on flatter, smoother surfaces such as glass or wood. The toes have small claws which aid in climbing surfaces to which their toes cannot clinch. The crested gecko has many naturally occurring color groups including gray, brown, red, orange and yellow of various shades. They have three color morphs in wild, which include patternless, white fringe and tiger. That was all about its distribution and habitat. That was all about its physical description. Now if we talk about ecology and behavior, then crested geckos are mostly arboreal species, preferring to inhabit the canopy of the New Caledonian rainforests. They are able to jump long distances between branches to move to new locations. Crested geckos are nocturnal and will generally spend their daylight hours sleeping in secure spots in high branches. Crested geckos are omnivores and will opportunistically feed on fruit, nectar, pollen, and variety of insects. Crested geckos were believed to be extinct prior to rediscovery in 1994. The species is currently being assessed for sites. Protection and vulnerable status. The biggest single threat to the wild population appears to the introduction of the little fire ant to New Caledonia. The ants prey on geckos, stinging and attacking in very large numbers, and they also compete with geckos for food by preying on arthropods. Other threats to the wild population include habitat damage from wildfires, rodent predation, and habitat degradation from introduced deer and pigs. It was all about their ecology and behavior. Now we will talk about reproduction. Reproduction is one of the important parts of any living organism. Little is known about the wild reproductive behavior of crested geckos. Available information has been obtained from captive animals. Females generally lay 2 eggs per clutch, which hatch 60 to 150 days after they are laid. A female crested gecko only has 2 mates with a male once in order to lay 2 eggs every 4 to 6 weeks for breeding cycle of upwards of 8 to 10 months. After breeding cycle, females in the wild go through a cooling cycle, usually prompted by slight temperature and daylight changes over the winter season. During this time, the females are able to regain the body mass and nutrients. They lost during egg laying. Crested geckos have 2 small sacs for calcium on the roof of their mouth. If an egg-laying female does not have enough calcium, her sac will be depleted, and she can suffer from calcium deficiency. This can lead to a calcium crash where the female appears shaky or wobbly, lethargic, has a lack of appetite, and can even result in death. Newly hatched crested geckos will generally not eat until after they have shed and eaten their skin for the first time, relying on the remains of their yolk sac of nutrition. Now the last part of our topic is it a pet or not? Though the export of wild crested geckos is now prohibited, biologists exported several specimens for breeding and study before New Caledonia stopped issuing permits to export the species. From these specimens, different breeding lines were established both in Europe and United States. The crested gecko is now one of the most widely kept and bred species of gecko in the world, second only to the common leopard gecko. Crested geckos can be very long-lived. While they have not been kept in captivity long enough for a definitive lifespan to be determined, they have been kept for 50 to 20 years or more. That was all about crested geckos. If you like our video, if you think our video was informative, kindly hit the subscribe button and click on bell icon for more interesting and factful videos. Thank you.